All right. My name's Nate Manahan here in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's time for another High Five. And today we're talking about all the options when it comes to your compensation. The most important thing as a sales partner, as a payments professional, going out and helping the merchants is how the heck do you get paid? Because let's be honest, you're not all doing this for complete altruism. We know some of you have more altruism than others, but you're looking to make money. And let me talk to we'll have to guess which one has more altruism on the left-hand side of the screen. The man, the myth, the legend from the golf capital of the world and living up in the mile high and higher areas in the Rocky Mountains, Mr. Danny Shard. Danny, are you getting an extra 50 yards every time you hit the ball because you're that high?
I used to, not as much anymore, and I actually haven't been able to play as much this summer as I'd like. As the kids are getting older, it's even tougher to play as much golf. So still getting out on Tuesdays and playing some tournaments every now and then, but the ball does fly higher here. Whenever I go down to Florida and play with Matt or Arizona or anything like that, it's very humbling. So I like being up in Colorado. It makes me feel strong.
Well, Mr. Brian Linke, the Nuggets are taking the trip a little further south than you to 6 feet at sky level tonight. Going to play in Miami. You've been living in the swamp that is known as Florida for a little while. You lived there a long time ago. Now in this stage of life, how do you think the Nuggets are going to handle the swamp and the 6 feet of sea level and the thickness of the air as they come to Florida to take on
Nate,
the Miami Heat?
First of all, do not refer to where I live as the swamp, because as we know,
I was going for that.
Okay, do not refer, because Brian Linke will never ever be referred to live in a place called the swamp, which is up in lizard country. Which I mean, the chances of me ever even, I don't know if I'll ever get to. But anyway, yeah, no, I think we're in for an exciting game three, and I think that the Heat are going to pull this one out just to make it interesting. Just to make it interesting. I just think the Nuggets needed one loss to kind of get it in their head that, hey, you know what, we're not as good as what we thought we were, and yeah, I think Miami pulls it out tonight.
Well, you don't know how good anyone is until they've been punched in the mouth, and the Nuggets had not been punched in the mouth yet this whole playoffs, and we saw how they responded to the first game. So now we'll see what they do in game 3 tonight. I think before we move on over Florida, the biggest things happening in Florida are not the Miami Heat, are not the Florida Panthers. It is 1 week from tonight where the Payprotech Nation gets together in Hollywood, Florida. My kids keep asking which came first, Hollywood, Florida, or Hollywood, California. It's Hollywood, California. I had to look that up because my kids kept asking that. But we'll be in Hollywood, Florida, at the Diplomat, hanging out 7 p.m. a week from tonight on June 14th. Brian Linke, are you ready?
I'm definitely ready. It's going to be an epic night. The Payprotech boys and girls actually this year. We've got boys and girls coming. We got a couple of superstars, Jen Sales and Jason Lee Cook, that are going to join us as well. So excited about that, and it's going to be what floor is it on, Nate? What the
33, Larry Bird floor.
Got it. Okay, I told somebody the other day it was on the 100th floor, but whatever.
Scottie Pippen.
Scottie Pippen. There you go.
33. 33.
33rd
So yeah,
floor.
it's gonna be amazing up there. The views are gonna be crazy. The food's gonna be good. The drinks are always good. We're excited about it.
It's going to be a great time. Danny Shard, you just put out an email inviting people, reminding them. But one more thought about this: why take time? It's hard. Summer's busy. We actually don't. The last couple of years, we've not done parties at SEAA quite in a summer. This is 2 months later than SEAA was last year. It's we're in June instead of being in April. Why should they take some time out and figure out how to come over and hang out with us if they can make it? What's the reason?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always a big advocate of getting FaceTime with partners and, letting them meet our team, meet our vendors. I think that's huge. And then also meet each other, right? I mean, this industry is huge, but it's also small, right? And, getting to know some of some of your peers, that partners in different markets. I mean, you can really learn from one another and just talk shop. I think it's a really cool thing to do. It's an awesome setting too, right? I think SCAA is probably the most scenic and probably the one of the better shows that we'll go to this year. I don't want to knock any of the other shows, but the SCAA is one of the best, and it's at one of the best venues. But it's probably the toughest to go to, right? Especially being like the start of summer. A lot of us have kids and families, and it's just a scheduling nightmare in some ways. So if you can make it, we'd love to have you. Even if you don't come down to the conference, come down and see us and meet some of your favorite vendors and some of your favorite PPT people. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, and this isn't just for those who have been with us forever. If you're just considering working with PaperTech, or just want to know what PaperTech is about, or you're just starting to think, hey, there may be some. This is for payments professionals, those who are in our industry. Come hang out with us, and obviously, we're going to hope that you hang out with us and want to do business with us. That's what whether you hang out with us in our homes or hang out with us in Florida, we're going to do that. But we also there's just a huge advantage to being in person. We only get to do it, a few times a year, and so don't miss this opportunity. And we're having a good pretty time. Brian Linke picked out the what I think is our best menu yet, coming out with some incredible food, some really gourmet food, some great drinks, and live music. You can't ask for anything better. And I'm hoping for a really good sunset. We have a view out to the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, for sunrises. We will not be having our party for the sunrise, but we'll be looking back across the Intercoastal for the sunset. And I'm hoping for a really good sunset that night. I can't guarantee it, but Florida is Florida. But I am hoping that we'll see a good sunset as we look across the peninsula of Florida from right there at Hollywood. We're moving on. We're talking about options. And this is not options about hardware or options software. That's always a priority for us. We always want to make sure you have everything you need for your deals. Today, we're talking about the options when it comes to making sure you're getting the money the way you need to, the amount of money that you're making it as you're growing. And really, we'll start with a basic question. In the payments industry, in our merchant services industry, Brian Linke, what are the main ways that we make money?
Well, it's funny that we should be talking about this because in our meeting, our team meeting last week, we kind of talked about this. Danny put me on the spot as usual, but the residual income that you're offered and paid in this industry is something that I think can't be taken for granted. And the reason I say that is because I came from a business where it was very lucrative and there was a lot of money to be made. However, the first of the month, and I think our meeting was I think it was June 2nd. The first of the month, your board gets erased, right? And you're back to zero. And you're starting from zero. And then you're realizing that there's only 20 selling days in every month. And then, you're breaking rule number one because panic is setting in and the whole thing. So residual income, again, cannot be, talked about enough, where you can get out of bed every day knowing that you're making money. And as you grow your business, especially now with dual pricing and some of the point of sale options that we have and our bonus program, which is almost ridiculous, I think, especially now with Pay Anywhere with the $600 and the 14 times multiplier and $300 if it's not Pay Anywhere and the 12 times multiplier. I mean, we do a lot of things for our agents, for our partners to make extra money. The March Madness campaign, the Race to 10,000 campaign. If you're not making money at PaperTech, then you're just not working. So we like our people to make money. We like to keep them happy. And residuals, bonuses, it's amazing.
Residuals and bonuses, those are the foundation that make our industry. And Brian gave us a basic overview, and there's other ways we have extra additional bonuses. There are other compensations. There are ways you can sell equipment and create one-time commissions. But the basics of where we start is, where is the residual income? That as long as this merchant is processing with us or with one of our competitors and you're the sales partner, you're going to make that money. But the trick is that apples are not always apples. There are 1,000 companies that are serving independent sales offices like PaperTech. We're on the larger side of them, but every contract is slightly different. Danny, can you walk us through when it comes to residuals? Bonuses are pretty straightforward, but residuals, what are we looking for? How do we define the split? And where are some of the pitfalls that people get trapped and they get surprised when they get into this industry?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think one of the most common questions, me and Brian talk about this all the time, is focused on the percentage, right? They want the highest split possible with bonuses, with free equipment, and I think if that's what you're looking for, it's in a lot of ways it's somewhat unrealistic, right? There has to be a true partnership. There has to be a good Schedule A that's going to work well for both parties. Obviously, you being the salesperson, you need to have an aggressive Schedule A so you can maximize revenue, right? And we need to hold up our end of the bargain and give you the right tools and solutions. But you can't be completely fixed on a percentage. Say you're offered a 50% split with a bonus and a 70% split residual only type of deal. That sounds somewhat entry level, right? That's actually the program that I've been selling, since I started in this industry in 2003. So the splits really haven't evolved. What has evolved is the offerings, right? So if you have a competitive offering, if it's going to help you close more business, I think that makes a heck of a lot different, or it's a better option than someone that's offering you, 60 or 70, if that's the case with a free terminal or something like that. But they can do that because they lack a lot of technology and a lot of options. So something to think about as you look at these, and some of the downfalls I see partners doing is only focused on that split number, not focused of what makes up that number as far as buy rates, what they get in addition to it, what kind of support structures they have on the back end. All of these things cost money, and the only way that we can do it is obviously by taking our piece and investing it wisely in you. So kind of look at everything as a whole. Don't just focus on a number, and make sure you're getting your best bang for your buck on all ends of it.
One of the things that I think people get surprised by, Danny, is the Schedule A, and they don't know how some of the things, the reading with their Schedule A, and they get surprised.
Sure.
So you sign up, and that may happen. I don't think it's a surprise. We try to be as clean, as transparent as possible, but you get that first full month of a merchant processing, and you get your residual payment on, for us, the 15th of the month, the 15 days after we closed everything out. We get you your money, we put it in your bank account, and it wasn't what you thought it was. What are some of the things you do when the expectations and some of the questions you need to ask when the number isn't where you thought it should be, whether it's with us, where we, hey, we believe we're just transparent, or some in our industry who probably weren't transparent and were hiding some things, and suddenly what you thought was going to be $100 a month account is giving you $22 a month. What are some of those things you should ask?
Can I step in here before Dan answers that?
Yes.
Before Danny answers that question, and he'll answer it well. But I'm just telling you, we don't see that very much at PayProTech. Because as we are as transparent as any company. I don't want to say more than any company, but as transparent as any company out there. So I rarely, if ever, every once in a while, we'll hear from a guy, or a gal, but that's something we don't really have to deal with a whole lot.
Yeah,
and we're glad about that.
Yeah, I don't think we'd be doing as good as we are if our partners had to be concerned and kind of always spot checking everything, which I encourage. Right? I mean, look at it; it's your money. Want to make sure everything's correct. But you should absolutely have that data in front of you so you can check it out, right? And if something seems lower, we should be able to tell you why that is, right? Is it a specific card type that was accepted? Is it a certain number of transactions? Was there a loss on a fee loss or something like that that's contributing to that lower basis points in margin? There's so many different factors, but it's important that if you're caught off guard by something, that you have the tools and resources to be able to identify what that is and how you fix it, or at least have a better understanding of, why this merchant that you expect to make 100 basis points on is only making you 25 basis points. Maybe we didn't account for all the keyed in transactions, maybe something like that happened and caused the business to completely change the way that they accept payments, and it impacts your residual. These are all things that we've got to think about, right? And I talk about this often as well with flat rate pricing and cash discounting, and how, Brian and I and Jason Lee and Luke and our team, we have a kind of a base that we try to identify as potential margins per deal, right? And obviously that fluctuates based on how they're currently taking payments and type of business and card types and all that. But it really gets us to like what, Brian, like 80, 85% of what it should be.
Yeah.
But all these different variables come in, and you thinking you're going to earn these big margins, if something catches you off guard, you should have something that tells you why, or at least lean on somebody like us to be able to identify it and help you fix it, or just identify it so you know what's going on.
Well, and working with a partner you can trust and finding a transparency we're not the only ones who are transparent in the industry, but we are certainly part of the few. And there are a lot of that are out there trying to hide as many fees and as many little things that are taking away from that split. And so they can say, hey, we're going to give you a 100% split or a 90%. Well, the fact is they've built in money into the Schedule A, fees into all kinds of different places to be able to make sure that all of us have to make money. And they can present it however we want to. We try to be as transparent, as clear, and as concise as possible. But in this industry, the other thing you have to think about is things change as you grow and as when you first start out, and you may need to have bonuses and you may need to have that money and take some, because bonuses come with some risk. If those merchants close in the 12 months after you get your bonus, or, there are things that can happen with that. But as you grow in your business, how often, I don't know which one I'm going to come, Brian or Danny, I'll let you jump in on this. How often should you look at your compensation structure as your business is growing? And you started out and you're doing 5 deals a month, and now you have 10 deals. Maybe you've built a team, maybe you're doing 100 deals. How often should you look at your compensation structure? You don't want to do it all the time. And what would you suggest how looking at that compensation structure, both with the ones you're working with and looking at other vendors? Guys, who wants to take it?
Dan?
I'll take it. Yeah, looking at your, I don't think looking at your comp structure is something that you should do every month, obviously. But, I think as you build and grow your portfolio, identifying the best cost structure that could be, because what you initially set up with, maybe you set up with free equipment and bonuses and a lower split, but now you're more established, right? 6 months, 12 months, 6 years down the road, right? You're still on the same structure, boarding 5, 10, 15 deals a month, whatever that number is. And you're earning great money, but you don't necessarily need the bonuses now, right? So pivoting and adjusting to a higher split is something to look at. Like checking out your compensation, I wouldn't say on a monthly basis, but trying to identify that, especially as you grow and scale, and learning on when it's the right time to evolve into something like that, I think is important. And looking at other vendors as well. I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, PaperTech, we want to get all of your business, but we know that we're not going to be the best fit for every merchant. And we absolutely think that you should have a couple of different homes so you don't have to walk away from any business. And making sure that you've got good aggressive Schedule A's at all those, or as aggressive as you can, with support structures, with good solutions. You got to have some consistency across all these companies that you work with. But I don't think, and we do have partners that do this, and I commend you. You wouldn't be salespeople if you didn't do this. But they reach out to us every month wanting to increase their splits, right? Wanting to renegotiate their Schedule A's. And some of them are warranted, and others, it's, now's not the time to do that. So I don't think looking at your current comp structure and renegotiating every month is something that you should do.
No, it's a waste of your time, a waste of your energy, and it's not helping you focus. But I think probably an annual review, and a lot of times that review will say, hey, I'm not going to do anything right now. But sure, as strategies change, and then you say, hey, I'm going to reach out, I'm going to look around, what else is available. I think that you're a good business person when you're looking around and saying, okay, what has changed in the, as I look at the horizon of the industry and say, is there anything that I might want to try or, maybe do something different? It also may change as you go through like decades of your life. Brian, you've gone to the next stage. You're not retired, but you have moved to Florida. You now have grandkids. Life is different. How are things different for you, and how would it change? You weren't in the industry 30 years ago, but when you were, a young 20-something going after it and with no kids versus now you have grandkids, that changes your perspective and what you should look at and look for, right?
I just think being in it for the long game, however long that is for me, but I think what has changed the game in the industry as far as like bonuses has been, whatever we call it now, cash discount, dual pricing, whatever it is. Because back before, when residuals were 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks, and now they're $500, $600, $700. Okay, that 12 times or 14 times multiple, now that's a real number, right? So you have to look at it like, okay, wait a minute. If you need some cash, I mean, we're talking, we've got a cap of 5,000 on the 12 times and a cap of $10,000 on the 14 times. And let me tell you something, that's a lot of money. And, for me, I don't know, I'm just at a point, once you build your residual to a certain point, I'm just bigger on the higher split, but there's always something in the back of my mind that says, man, again, with the dual pricing, that number. So there's definitely a decision to be made, and I think it's just up to the individual and what their financial situation is, and there's only you can answer that.
All right, last question for Mr. Danny Shard. Danny, what happens often is when we talk about is that the portfolio you're building is an asset. It's yours for life as long as those persons or those merchants are processing with the company you set them up with in your portfolio connected to you. And a lot of you people sell those assets, and they will we have right of first refusals. All of our companies and competitors do that. Third parties are out there going out and buying portfolios all the time. As you're building your business, what are things you should think about if that is selling your portfolio or, taking a loan based off your portfolio? As you're building that portfolio, what are some of the questions and things you should think about as opportunities as you're growing in this business that are things that some people probably don't think about when they have just their first 10 merchants?
Yeah. And a lot of folks don't realize as you're building your portfolios that you're building an asset that you can use for the future, right? For anything that you want. Over the years, I've seen a lot of people do buyouts, just kind of sell their portfolio right off into the wind. And that's great. I'm seeing more partners now doing partial buyouts, selling a piece of their portfolio to invest and grow their business even more. I mean, it could be a specific dollar amount or a number of merchants or something like that. I'm a big advocate if you can, even though you may get a really aggressive split for all or a portion of your portfolio. If you don't really need it right now, but you do need some capital, I'm a big advocate for getting a loan of some sort or just selling a small piece so you can still keep the larger portion of the asset that you've built over time. Because, when you're finally ready in the future, I think, Brian, you've done this a few times, right? Over the course of your career where you've been able to build something, sell the asset, get a significant amount of revenue, and then rinse and repeat, do it all over again. And that's great. If you don't have to sell it and you kind of want to, get some capital to help you grow, I would, talk to us about some loan options or a portion of the portfolio, because selling that asset, seeing it go away, it's like seeing your baby, right? It's something that you've worked so hard, blood, sweat, and tears to build. And even though you're still servicing those merchants and you're not getting paid on them each month, can kind of sting a little bit. So always something to think about. And we're always happy to have those conversations with you whenever you're going down that path of what to do. We've got a lot of different options and we're helping partners with it every day.
Well, again, I think also, I mean, it has to do with where you are in your life. I mean, if you had a certain point in your life to where it's like, okay, you know what, you can use the money for different things, but you're still working, so you're still building, a little bit of residual. I mean, it just depends on where you are. It's the same thing with the bonuses, right? I mean, obviously, in the long game, you're making more money with the higher split. But there's a risk involved with that, right? I mean, merchant cancels, whatever. But with the bonuses, with the residuals, what they are, and the bonuses with what they are, there's definitely a decision to be made. And I think it just depends on, again, where you are and in your life.
All right. As we close out, I'm going to ask you for one last bit of wisdom or challenge for someone joining us next week in Florida. Remember that you can always find us at youtube.com/mypapertech. You can find us on a variety of other ways. You can go to mypapertech.com. If you've just been listening to this, maybe for the first time, maybe this is the first time you're checking out PaperTech, or you're just saying, man, I really would like to, you can always email us at partners@papertech.com. You can go to papertech.com and click partner with us. There's 1,000 ways you can get a hold of us. We would love to talk with you. Brian, Danny, Jason Lee, Luke, and all of our partners team would love to talk with you. We're here anytime to help you grow your business. And when you grow your business, we grow. That's the goal. That's the beautiful, sync that happens in this. But as we close out, Brian Linke first, Danny Shard second. What do you say to our partners as we close out today on June 7th, 1 week from our next party in Hollywood, Florida?
I can't wait to see you guys. I mean, we're really excited about it. Every event that Paper Take puts on is, memorable for a lot of different reasons. And hopefully we'll see you in Hollywood on Monday.
Danny Shard.
Excited to see everybody next week. I'm excited to get down to Florida. Although it's really nice in Colorado, I love getting down to Florida. So it's going to be a really fun week. Come see us on Wednesday night if you can. You won't want to miss it.
All right. On behalf of Danny Shard, Brian Linke, I'm Nate Manahan. We'll see you next time on The High Five. Cheers, everybody.